Welcome, everyone, to the Better Love Movement podcast, where you will finally learn how to intentionally do dating and relationships right. My name is Anita Stoudemire, and I'm a licensed professional therapist and your personal love mentor. I've worked with thousands of singles and couples, giving them the skills needed to attract and keep the amazing love they desire. It's my heart's work to help people to get the skills needed to not only become the very best versions of themselves, but to help them grow and evolve emotionally and relationally. You can absolutely have the romantic relationship of your dreams. Come and let me show you how. Hello, everyone, and welcome back again to this week's episode of the Better Love Movement podcast. Thank you so much for joining me this week and just showing up week after week after week. I so appreciate your love and support of the podcast and the platform. So we are back again with someone who has been on our platform before, and we're going to have a conversation today. So this is not necessarily an interview per se, but we're going to further our conversation that we started in his last episode. So we are in episode number 121, entitled Loving Through Pain and Insecurities, Part 2. So today, I'm talking to Christopher Allen, the author of the book Open Wounds, and he and I are just going to further the conversation that we started from his last episode. So welcome, Christopher. Thank you for coming back again.
And thank you so much. I definitely appreciate it. I definitely enjoyed myself the first interview, and I'm looking for all surprises in this one. So
okay. So let us just talk a little bit more about your book and some of the things in it. You had shot over to me a couple of bullet points, things that you wanted to just further talk about, just points from the book. So tell me kind of where you want to start.
Where I'm going to start at, well, let me share this with you first. What I end up doing, I put out a kind of a survey. Mm-hmm. And this is book cover 1 and book cover 2. And it kind of got mixed reviews on both. So what I ended up doing was like, this is going to be a reader's choice now.
Okay.
On which book. I tried a different approach, something out of the box, out of the normal. So where I wanted to start first in regards to that. And for those who do not know about my book, my mind runs like a million miles an hour, right? It's a book, it's a memoir about myself. I call it a stoetic memoir, which is stories and part poetry. Mm-hmm. But it really goes into the lessons and things that I learned about my life and some of my life experiences. And for those who do not know, I'm just going to read you a little excerpt from the back of the book. Mm-hmm. And it says, lost in the thickets of painstaking events, a young man struggled to find faith, balance, and himself at a time when his world continuously crumbled beneath his feet. Despite his best efforts to stay out of trouble and walk righteously, misfortune seemed to greet him at every turn. With mounting frustration, pain, and disappointment, what will he do? How will he respond to this? Is he sabotaging himself? Will he finally find himself and succeed or become another statistic? And so, again, this book is a great support tool and read for young adult males and adult men. But, it's mainly for those young males, those males who intend, they mean well, but they're stuck in their past and just can't seem to get it together positively in their lives, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So they're on this destructive path and cause a lot of drama and chaos in other people's lives as well. But this book is also for the young ladies who love and support them, to give you a better understanding of where we're, some of the things that we're experiencing or going through, some of our traumas, insecurities, and things of that nature. So there'll be less judgment There'll be a little bit more understanding. So when you have communication with these men, you'll better be able to manage and be able to support them without also bringing that judgment as well. So that's open wounds in a nutshell.
Okay. And where can they purchase a copy of your book?
They can go to www.authorchrisallen.com. You'll find the cheapest rates there, but I'll also have it on Amazon as well, where you will pay an increased rate for it.
Okay.
Y'all know how that go.
Yep. Okay, good. So one of the things that I'm certain has happened in the process of you writing this book, what I like about this is you've probably experienced a lot of growth. Like a lot of
Yes.
growth has probably come out of this. I kind of wish everybody could do this. Like really think about their life, like over the span of their life and all the possible lessons or the things that happen to them. So what I like about it is I'm sure there's a lot of lessons there.
Absolutely. A lot of lessons. And, one of those lessons I would definitely say that I'm going to go back to first is I didn't know exactly what it was in the beginning. And I'm just being honest and truthful, right? There was a part, I was watching a podcast that you did, and you was talking about monkey branching. And I was like, what is that? I said, I know monkeys jump from tree to tree. And this is like, but then it hit me like, okay, she's talking about a person just moving from one person to the other. Not necessarily seamlessly, but just trying to make that rapport with another person.
Right.
Because you're either leaving a relationship or, you're trying to connect with another person prior to leaving so you won't be alone. So I was guilty of that. Guilty of it. And I had to look at it and ask myself, I was like, why was I doing this? And I had to go back and I was like, for one, I was like, I didn't necessarily want to be separated, be alone from anybody. I wanted the same things and activities to continue that I was doing previously. And I was just like, wow. I was like, okay, that's one primary reason why I was doing the monkey branching. And the second portion of it too was, it's something that I learned. I learned this from females. I learned this from my male counterparts as well. Whether they, wanted to have multiple relationships or I was okay. Let me go back a little bit. I was raised in a Baptist church, right? And it was more of a do as I say, as opposed to what I do.
Right.
And seeing these things going on in front of me, I'm just like, wow, this is not good. So learning all these things from these people. They saying that you should be, separate from somebody and then move on to the next relationship, but they were actually doing the monkey branching situation as well. So it was just something that I learned to do and got quite comfortable with it.
Yep. So you're not alone. A lot of folks are guilty of this.
Yeah, that monkey branching is something else. But I learned it in that capacity. And thinking too, one of the things that I wanted to address this evening too, Anita, is let's talk about the good guys finish last. Nice guys, nice guys finish last, that good guy syndrome. I've always been a nurturing and supportive person. And that's what I wanted to see people to see me as, I got you. But a lot of people use people. They're like that footstool or, until they're able to find better or get up on their feet, and then they no longer have use for you. So I didn't quite understand, I'm thinking everybody's like me.
Right.
I wanted to show love, give love, and things of that nature, but didn't necessarily take place in that capacity, that format. So it was a powerful learning lesson for me, but it took some time.
One of the things that we have talked about here on the podcast quite a bit is the Mr. Nice Guy syndrome.
Hmm.
And I have really encouraged that people read the book No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Mm.
Um, it is a fabulous read, um, especially for men, because the book was written by a man for men, but I have encouraged women to read it. And it really helps teach men, you know, that you are to be kind, not nice.
Mm.
Like I've often said that when I'm on panels, people will say, "Well, don't you want a nice guy?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. I want a man who's kind, but I want a man with boundaries. I want a
Right.
man who loves himself enough that says, that doesn't work for me."
Right.
And he stands by it. So that's
Stand on it.
yeah, that's what I'm teaching men, that I don't want them to be nice. I want them to be kind, but I want them to have boundaries. I want them to have standards, just like I teach my ladies to have standards.
Yeah, you have to.
Yep.
Because without boundaries or standards, people will run.
Oh,
Let's say if you had a beautiful lawn with roses in it,
yep,
they're gonna run all through those roses and
that's
don't
right.
care. It could be a
That's it.
prized possession, but if the door is open, you get access to it. Um,
Mhm.
they're gonna have at it, chop at it. So,
That's it. That's it.
um, um, and leading up to that, I just was really thinking about. You talked about the Mr. Nice Guy syndrome. Is that it got to a point where I felt I didn't feel valued. I
Mm,
didn't feel supported. I didn't feel appreciated. And I got tired of being treated like that,
mm,
putting women up on a pedestal, treating them like queens when they didn't really deserve it at all. They didn't really deserve my
right.
time.
Right.
So I'm not going to say that I got bitter, but what I did was start reserving myself
Mm,
to not allow those things to happen. Like, you have to earn what I have to offer and what I have to give.
mhm.
Outside of that, you could ask for a million things. You can knock on my door, you can call my phone, you can do whatever. And a conversation is just a conversation.
Mhm.
Your words really didn't mean anything if you couldn't show me
Right.
by your actions. Don't mean nothing.
Yep.
Nothing at all.
And so tell me a little bit about this fine line. So I know a lot of men, they walk this fine line between, like you said, showing up and being a great guy in a relationship, being taken advantage of, and then they kind of shut down or they do become a little bitter. It's like a fine line of how do you, set those healthy boundaries or standards without like becoming bitter or just becoming skeptical, like, man,
Mm.
all women are like this. Like
Yeah.
that's a kind of a fine line I see a lot of men are kind of they're navigating.
For each individual, I would say it's going to take some individual maturity.
Mm,
You have to be mature as an individual first, before you get to that relationship maturity, or try to proceed in a relationship.
mhm,
If you're not mature, um, your relationship is not going to work. You're
mm,
just going to be in constant chaos all the time. um, Two is what I found, and I can speak from my experience, and I probably can add a couple more things on in regards to what the gentleman said, what guys say or how they feel, is that um, I don't think there's a point where they're not cautious.
mm,
Um, that caution flag is always going to be up. They're going to wear it like
mhm,
a shirt or a jersey. They're going to wear it
mhm,
like a hat. So
right.
they're just going to go into it. Anything that reminds them of anything that may have hurt them in the past, they're going. They may pass on it. Or ladies, you're going to get used in some capacity before you're going to be discarded.
Mm,
You're going to go to the next. Um, I'm thinking too that it's very important for men, as opposed to monkey branching.
mhm,
It's very important for you to really sit down, get over your issue, the thing that you was going through, your heartbreak, or you feel guilty, or I could have done this better, um, things of that nature. You really have to be honest and real and assess yourself and say, okay, had you had to be accountable for this, that person was accountable for that. It just
Right.
didn't work out. Be accepting of that. It didn't work. Move
Right.
forward, move on. Don't just carry this carry your bags around with you, or be guilty, feel guilty of the whole situation. That's not going to help you move forward or moving forward in the future at all for any purpose. And it does not be based on relationships.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and if somebody knows that you're vulnerable and you're hurt, um, you're putting yourself in a position again to be taken advantage of.
Right. Right.
So,
We had an author on the podcast. I never remember these podcast numbers, but shout out to Nakata. He is the author of Heart on Break. And that is
mm,
actually what his whole platform is about. It's about men taking a break from relationships, from sex, to really get their minds right, to
mm,
really, learn lessons from their heartaches and from their life, and then come back even stronger. So yeah,
absolutely.
I'm 100% on that train. Like I want women to do the same. Like I just don't. I know there really isn't any benefit to going from one person to the next. They're only expounding their trauma. They're only
Yes.
just layering trauma on top of trauma. So
Layer upon layer.
yep,
And
yep,
it's a definitely awful thing. And you're trying to figure out, how can I escape? What can I do? I can't get from under this, right?
mm,
Um, and you can't without just taking the proper measures of self-healing first and getting to know yourself.
mm,
A lot of people wander around aimlessly, looking for validation,
right.
looking for things, and looking for love, looking for things. Everything that you're looking for is you already have. You already have
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. So that leads us into the trying to prove yourself, trying to prove
Mm.
your worth and your value. Tell me a little bit about that.
Ooh. In hindsight, I already had the value.
Mhm.
But to get people to understand that I was who I said I was, it's virtually impossible. It's impossible to do if they're in a hurt space, or
Mhm.
a traumatic space. They're not going to be able to receive that, because people really reflect what's going on the inside.
Right.
That's emotionally how they feel in their heart, their mindset, and it just regurgitates. It reflects on the other person. So
Mhm.
um, you have to be. Ooh, that Anita, that's a big one.
Mm.
Wow. Um, and even from, I'm going to say, we talk about personal relationship with females.
Mhm.
It's going to affect every relationship that you have. Period.
Right.
Um, people. You're talking about the gang situations. You're talking about hooking up with the wrong people, hanging around the wrong people, and I've been guilty of that myself. For many years, thinking that I'm doing something to upgrade my standard. Yeah, I'm a man because I hang with the bike clubs, or I'm a
Mhm.
man because I hang with I hang with shooters in the street, and this, not, and the third. I got street credibility. None of that stuff. At the end of the day, none of those people can help you with
Right.
anything at all. Not your personal growth, your self worth, none of that. That's a job for you.
Right.
You have to put in that work. And if you don't obtain that, there's a saying that I always say, is that if you don't deal with your issues will find a way to deal with you,
Mhm.
and it's not going to be pleasant.
Right.
That I can guarantee you.
I
Um,
agree. I agree. I agree. And it's this idea of, I think it's normal and healthy. This is what I'd like to tell people. It's normal and healthy to want to be seen, right? That
mhm,
is a normal, healthy response to being a human being. You want to be seen,
Yes.
you want to be acknowledged. But I always tell people, when you go a step beyond that, like, okay, but I need you to validate me or choose me, that's
Mhm.
when we're getting in dangerous territory. And
Absolutely.
so we got to learn how to validate ourselves. We have to learn how to choose ourselves. But when we're looking outside of our of ourselves for our worth and value, or, being chosen makes me worthy, then it's getting really dangerous.
Dangerous.
Mm,
It's you know, in my book is I'm going to say that I'm living proof of that.
mhm,
And I stepped in many different types of water,
mm,
all not healthy. Um, some of them water nitrous, some of it
mm,
acidic. I,
mhm,
I stepped in every type of water you could probably imagine, and I didn't come out good.
mm,
When I went in, I got in worse. I was
mm,
worse. So, I would just say that my advice is to, if you're in a vulnerable place, sometimes it's best to sit down,
mm,
seek inward. Um, if there's anybody that you can talk to who's not a biased person, somebody who's not going
mhm,
to give you bad information, or, um, you just have to sit down and process it, go through it, go through
mhm,
your guilt, go through your
mhm,
pain first, go through everything that you're possibly feeling in regards to your last situationship, your relationship,
mhm,
and go through it. And you may have to go through it by yourself or having a conversation with somebody who, again, who is not biased, who can give you great information, um, and not put yourself in another situation that's going to trigger you again
mhm.
or hurt you all over again.
Right,
Um, yeah, you definitely have to make that happen for yourself.
right, right. Okay. Tell me a little bit about, you had also put on here about sex does not equal love or relationship. And
Mm.
this is as old as time. Like, I'm talking about this all the time. And I'm trying
Mhm.
to unpack. I mean, from a physiological standpoint, I do understand that people bond during
Mhm.
sex, and that's what leads them to believe it's more. Um, but still, it's like, okay, but common sense says, no, that doesn't mean it's a relationship or love. So talk a little bit more about that. Do men, here's a question that my listeners want to know. So do men have sex with women and develop feelings? A lot of women ask me that.
I want to definitely say yes,
Okay.
especially whether they say they do or they don't, because it
Mm.
kind of comes in some levels of some tears with it, right?
Mhm.
I know for me, from day one, I was just taught that if you're going to involve yourself on an intimate basis with somebody, that person you have to be committed, you have to be monogamous.
Mm.
So that was one thing that I was taught from the door. Um, that doesn't always ring true. Two, from the aspect when you're in a vulnerable place and you're seeking that validation and that acceptance and
Mhm.
somebody who cares for me, um, you get into that and it feels like love. It feels
Mm.
like, oh my God, like this is great. I'm glad I'll be able to have this. It feels like you're healing and a lot of things are going on, but it doesn't always equate to a relationship. It doesn't always
Right.
equate to what's been programmed in your mind
Mhm.
that it's supposed to be. Um, and sometimes um, we might not have experienced certain things with women, or
Mhm.
women might not have experienced certain things, and we might provide that experience for them as a
Mhm.
first. And sometimes when you're the first and you provide, a great feeling, I'd leave it at that. Uh, Sometimes it feels like love,
Mm.
or yeah, I'm going to have this, and next thing the person ghosts you, they out, or
Mm.
um so things like that do happen. Yeah, men do connect
Mm.
by sex.
Okay.
We try not to, because we want to still have that facade of being macho and this, that, and
Right.
the third. But if she decides to like, okay, thank you very much. I don't want to see you again.
Mm.
And you're looking like, huh?
Yeah, you
What?
feel away.
You feel some kind of way about that. You
Right,
don't want to be
right.
with me. What's wrong
Yep,
with me?
yep, yep. That ego. And I tell folks, ladies have it too. Ladies have that ego. It's a woman's ego that has her interacting with a man that has a string of hearts, broken hearts, like a trail. He's left a trail of broken hearts. But she believes that in her ego, she's the one. She's the one to tame him. She's the one to get him to commit. And I tell women every time, like, that's your ego. Like
Yeah.
your rational mind needs to say past behavior will equal present and future behavior. But
Yes.
instead, that ego makes you think, oh, well, I can tame him.
I've done it, Anita. I promise you,
Yeah.
I've done it. It has happened. Yeah, I've tamed some people, but there's some people I was not. You couldn't tame it regardless of what you
Yep.
do.
Yep.
They wow.
Yep.
They out in the forest of nature. So
Yep.
it's okay. You have to. And one thing that I did teach my daughters, one's 31 and one's 27,
Mhm.
is that you have to understand, certain aspects about men.
Mm.
But when you're exchanging yourself with a man, you're getting the same thing that they're getting.
Right.
It's nothing more.
Mm.
By nature, intimacy and sex is what it is. It doesn't
Mhm.
equal a relationship. It
Mhm.
doesn't equal any partnership. It is what it is right then and there. So I just said, protect yourself.
Right.
Don't have any children until you know, are able to take care of your own, because
Mhm.
they may not be with you today, tomorrow, the next day. And you can't necessarily depend on anybody else outside of yourself to take care of yourself, your life expenses, and who you're involved with. It's all up to you.
Right. That's right. That's right. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the importance of men specifically communicating their needs, like letting women know what they want and what they need. Because I get this a lot where men say, the man's happiness is not priority. And,
Mm.
nobody cares about what we feel or think or what we need. Speak a little bit about that.
I have personally, I have felt unappreciated,
Mm,
um, just for the fact that, listen, we're going to talk about holidays first, right? We have holidays for one. The same way I go about doing things for you, I would expect the same thing on a Father's Day, like my
mhm,
birthday,
mhm.
but I'm getting you some extravagant, getting you what you want, extravagant, and
Right.
get you extravagant things, and I get I don't know where this watch came from. It's no name brand that I know.
Mhm.
I don't get no diamonds. I don't get no diamond pendants, and none of that stuff like that. So when it comes to certain things like that, or even in relationships, the type of sex that you want, what you need, what um, excites you, what brings you to, you have to put everything that you want and need. You need to communicate that.
Mhm.
I'm an advocate, a very big advocate of this communication,
Right.
because if you don't say, um, you're not going to get.
That's
And
it.
sometimes, even if that person's not able to do what you want all the time, at least you know that they're aware of it. They're going to
Right.
try
Right.
to do that, as opposed to if you tell somebody certain things and they can't carry them out, or they just refuse, or this is not me. I'm not into that. And what that basically means that either you're going to accept that and move forward with them,
Mhm.
or if that's a situation where it is like, this is a necessity for me.
Right.
I need this woman to perform this activity. I need this in my life. Like, this
Right.
is a
Right.
part of me, my whole. If you don't communicate that to her, you're always going to be in a place of lack.
Mm.
Avoid, she's not making you happy. And you're going to seek that elsewhere, which is going to produce other problems, as you
Mm-hmm.
move forward together. But you have to, don't ever suffer in silence, brothers.
Right.
Sisters don't either. I've done it, just trying to be respectful, thinking of being respectful with someone else. But there was this big open gap. There was something that I wasn't being fulfilled by my mate. And that's an awful experience. If you have everything, sometimes you have to wait if what we have is greater than what I need. Sometimes you got to set that down.
Right.
And feel like I have everything else.
Right. And it's interesting you say that, because one of the flags that I often tell people, men, women, whoever I'm working with, I say, we have to unpack why you don't feel comfortable asking for what you want and need. Like, that's actually the first order of business is, to me, there's something going on here if I don't feel comfortable asking for what I want and need. Now, it could be, don't get me wrong, it could be that a person's kind of wired from childhood programming that, okay, my wants and needs don't matter. So they do that with everyone. But I give people kind of the permission, like, okay, but we're not doing that anymore. You need to speak up. You need to get your needs met, right? With everybody. You need to now say what you want and need. And so I want you to try this with your partner. And if you don't feel like they're receptive, okay, but again, tell them, this is interesting information. I'm trying to talk with you and I'm not feeling like you're receptive. Like, you gotta call it like you see it. Like, that's not good. Yeah, that's not good. You just say that and let them know that the relationship you want to have is a give and take. It's reciprocal. So, yeah, that's super important. And I've been coaching more men on, again, instead of avoiding the conflict you think that that's going to bring about. Like, okay, I need you to stand up for yourself, and because there's conflict inside of you. Like, clearly you like conflict because you're feeling all tense inside. So I'm like, just bring
frustrated.
it out.
Frustrated. Like, what's wrong with you, Christopher?
Right. But I say, if there's going to be conflict within, let it be without. Like, just bring it out. Like, everybody can get some. That's how I feel. So I'm not going to, I don't sit and suffer in silence. Like, if I feel away, everybody's going to feel away. We're all in this. So, yeah, I just been encouraging folks, like, I want you to stand up for yourself.
And that's okay. I think a lot of us have been shut down so much to the point where we just like, okay, well, I'm just going to accept this and keep it moving. But as you keep it moving, it's almost like, you're on that, I'm trying to think of what the word of this thing is. You walking in place.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That thing's turning, you walking.
Yeah.
That hamster wheel. Not going anywhere, no growth, no nothing. And everything is piling up inside and around you. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine that they blew up at their partner. It wasn't like they wasn't trying to communicate. It's just that they weren't getting it. And it just got to a point where they blew up. They loved the person, but they loved each other. But that blow up hurt him to the point where, he doesn't know if, but he's contemplating right now because of the hurt. But he also has to understand his role in this evolving, in this happening. And as men and women, we have to be accountable for what we do. And even in situations that we can't control, I would just put myself on it. If I did something to my spouse or anybody that I have relationships with, I would admit that, yes, I'm sorry. I have no problem with doing that. And that's the first thing that you need to do and mean it. Secondly, when you're being accountable, I can't tell this person when you're supposed to forgive and or I need immediate validation and everything needs to go back to normal. That's unrealistic. It's not going to happen.
Right.
You have to give that person that time and space to be able to come back and heal. And if they do care, they do love you, they want things to move forward, it will. But it's not on your timeline. It's not. Just being real.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about the idea of it's okay to take the lead.
I believe, for a man, sometimes I usually, whether it was a one night stand or just whatever it was, usually I would just wait for certain keys or certain things to happen. I'm like, okay, yeah, she's feeling me. She wants to do X, Y, and Z. But sometimes it's okay for you to take the lead to say, what's up? I want this. I want that. Let's get out of here, or let's go X, Y, and Z. It's okay to do those things sometimes, even if you want to take on a vacation. Her work schedule might be this, whatever. Sometimes you just put it out there to say, look, I need this right now. I want you to come with me. Sometimes you have to lead, but when you lead, it doesn't mean that you have to control. It doesn't mean that you have to manipulate. It doesn't mean that you have to go through some nefarious means to get her to comply.
Right.
Don't do that. Sometimes it's just easy to ask that you can do it. Okay, I'm going to check what I got going on, and we can do it on this day or this weekend, or I could take 4 days here, or just whatever. But it's okay for you to lead, whether that's in the bedroom, and just anything general in life. It's okay for you to do that. But I would just say sometimes it's okay that you can grab her hand and pull her hand towards it. You don't just yank her, and sometimes that's okay too.
Right.
Depending
Well,
on what it is.
Here on my platform, that not only is leadership is required. Like the ladies on my platform, they know how I feel about this. That in order for a healthy feminine woman to submit to a man, he must lead. Like he must lead and be devoted to us in his leadership. He must make good choices for us. And his leadership doesn't hurt us. Like it doesn't lead us off of a cliff.
Right.
And when he is leading in a healthy way, we naturally submit. We naturally will follow his lead. But they know over here, my girls, they know that healthy masculine men initiate. That's a requirement here. That's what I believe the modern day man is missing. He is missing the ability to initiate and to lead.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
And that's that's a big thing.
Right.
I hear, I have a group of males that I interact with, kind of on a normal basis. And so I would say 50% initiate, some don't. They wait for the right moment of proper. There's never a right moment or proper moment based on our society and everything that we do, right? And with what you probably do in your life. So, sometimes you just have to be like, look, we are going to get dinner in about 15 minutes, but we're going to need to handle this right now, And I've seen, even in my personal life, I've seen where that has definitely worked in my favor. There's been times that it'd be like, later.
Right.
But at least because I initiated, I know later on, things are going to move forward. Yeah.
Right. But here, healthy feminine women, those are the women that I'm training. That's the woman that I am. That is a requirement. Like I don't initiate. The feminine is the receiver. The feminine, it's kind of like I always tell people that you have the egg and you have the sperm. And so you think about which one moves to which. So I am the egg, I am open and receptive. And I am, I am awaiting leadership. I am awaiting a man who is giving and doing, and I am appreciating that. I am, submitting to that healthy leadership.
And I was like, I was like, I really, I like what you're saying as well. But I was like, I've had, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's energetically or whatever that is, but I've had a lot of women in my life who just love to take charge, you know? So they take charge, but I've gotten that habit so much that when I came to a woman that needs to be led, we had some issues because I was consistently looking for them to lead when that's all I've been experiencing.
Right.
And it's so it has to be that balance and adjustment, you know?
Right. But the modern, so that's what my platform does. It helps women to fall back into their femininity. A lot of modern day women, like, so what we have going on is a role reversal. We have women who are acting like men, and we have men who are acting like women. And so my intention is to write that. Like, I want to write that. I want to teach men that being a healthy masculine man is anything but toxic. Like, that's a good thing. I want you to be a healthy masculine man. I want you to know how to lead. I want you to know how to truly protect and provide. And you can also be a healthy emotional man. You know, it's not to say that you don't express your emotions in a healthy way, but I want you to take initiative. And then for the woman, I want her to learn how to lean back, be in her femininity. She does not have to take charge all the time. And again, sometimes when women are so masculine, so forceful, it's very emasculating to a man. And I would never want to do that. Like, I want a man to be as God designed, and I want to be as God designed. So that's what we're all about over here. I'm trying to right this role reversal that we're in. But this has been a long time coming. This has been 20, 30 years in the making, and we're now seeing the fruit of that. So not great, you know, it's not good. So yeah, it's something. So yes, I want you to keep pushing that message that men, we need to lead more, and we need to have a plan. So I always tell my ladies that a man has a plan, right? So he approaches you, he lets you know, hey, I find you very attractive. I'd love to get to know you better. What do you think about us going to dinner? There's this great restaurant on Grove, and, you know, I'd love to take you there on Saturday at 7. Like, I want him to think of all the steps. Okay. And all we do is go, yeah. Like,
it's funny you say that because a good friend of mine is exactly like what you said.
Okay.
It was like, look, if I got a lot of things going on, I need to know where we going, what we doing, and what time we doing, what we coming back.
I love it.
And I was like, wow, I was just like, you know, at one point I was like, oh, you're too hard on people. Like, sometimes it just hits people like spontaneous. He was like, well, not here. I was like,
I love it, but I love it. Like I said, that's what we're looking for. We're looking to be led in a healthy way. So yeah, I want you to keep pushing that message because it's needed. Men today have gotten a little lazy, if I may say. They've, you know, they're leaned back, and to me, it's going to have some really negative consequences if they continue in that. One of the things that I've noted, and I've seen it in my clients, I've seen this, you know, and guys, you know, don't feel away because I'm saying this, but men are experiencing more erectile dysfunction younger and younger. And I believe it's because their testosterone is going lower and lower and lower because they're not, again, in that masculine energy state. They're falling into a feminine energy, and that testosterone is doing this.
And two, you have to be men have to also be very careful because a lot of things that we like to eat sweets. We like to, although we're working out and we're exercising, all these things, a lot of these soy.
Yep. Oh God, yes.
Soy candles. So a lot of things that they have contain soy. So
and
it's
it
like
is estrogenic. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I have to
we have to be careful of that as well. Yeah, get on them.
Yep. Well, this was a wonderful conversation. Again, I hope you all got as much value from it as I did. Please go and check out Christopher's book. Christopher, tell us again where they can purchase a copy of your book.
You can purchase a copy of Open Wounds at www.authorchrisallen.com.
Awesome. So please support him. And what's your social media? Please support him on his social media.
I have a platform called The Issues of Men, which is on Facebook. It's also on stormtalkradio365.com platform. You can also find me on YouTube, The Issues of Men channel. So definitely, subscribe, check out some of the videos. And, I'm learning this whole podcast game right now and things like that. And certain aspects of it, I can't really put on certain platforms. So I have to do it on these individual platforms. So I'm just really learning a lot of different things right now. And this weekend, I'm going to create an intro for my platform.
Awesome.
Moving forward. So it's a lot of things going on. And I would definitely going to say, I took some notes from you too.
Okay, good. Yes, I've been doing this. This is the 121st episode. Yeah, I've been for a while, man, let me tell you. So yes, but thank you so much for joining me again on the podcast. I so appreciate a man's perspective. We love it around here. That's why I love having men on the platform so that women can hear firsthand what's going on inside of a man's mind, inside of a man's heart. Ladies, I'm always telling you this. If you want to become really good at something, if you want to learn about something, you must study it. And so if you want to have a good relationship with a man, you have to study it. Study them. Listen to them. Okay. That's so important. So that's why I do this. Yes, it's the truth. Thank you so much, Christopher, for joining me. Thank you, ladies. And as always, stay open to love. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. If you are enjoying this podcast, please leave me a 5-star rating and review. Your ratings and reviews help me to continue to bring you more great content. Head on over to YouTube and check out the Better Love Movement channel. There's more video content there, and you can subscribe to be notified when a new video is posted. If you have a question that you would like to have answered on the podcast or in a YouTube video, please send it to me at info@betterlovemovement.com. You can also connect with me directly on the Magnify app to have your dating and relationship questions answered. That's MAGNIFI, and it's available on iOS and Android. You get your first 5 minutes for free. So give me a call and let's chat.